This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.
A very good afternoon and welcome to Blood Red, the Liverpool Echo's LFC podcast. Arne Slot is in a good mood today because his team has won 3 games on the trot in the Premier League and at the weekend moved up to 5th in the table. Joining me today to discuss that and the fallout from today's Arne Slot press conference is a man who's seen more matches than Swan Vestas. It's Ian Doyle. How you doing?
I'm okay. Thanks for making me feel sprightly and young there. Thank you.
No problem at all. Happy to help at any time. And we're also joined today by Mark Jones. Mark, how are you?
Oh, good, mate. Yeah, very good. Younger than Ian as well. So.
Younger than Ian?
Yeah, yeah. Come on, didn't get a build-up. He deserves some kind of moniker, doesn't he?
The Welsh Wizard. Can we call him that? The Welsh Savvy?
It's a bit cliche. At least it was a bit on the spot, though.
Feels a bit,
Next time, come with something better.
Go away and come back with one.
All right, well, you know.
You could be Rambling Richard. There you go.
Rambling, well, if the cap fits. Yes. Did you have a little bit of time off, didn't you, Mark?
Did, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy your time off?
Did, yeah. It was very nice. Very nice to not be working. And I turned a year older. That was good.
Which birthday was it?
Sources tell me. You've reached the big 4-0.
Yes, yeah. Any advice from two gentlemen who said a long time ago?
Yeah, life ends at 40.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people say it begins there. I have to tell you, it's all downhill.
Yeah.
100%.
That's
good.
Things start hurting, you're back.
Yeah. I'm there already.
Bits start falling off. That's the worst thing. Yeah. Don't expect that.
You've started from the top here, haven't you?
Just basically, yeah.
No, can we go? What bits are these?
As we've said, just start from the top and then just work.
Okay.
Work your way down until you perish.
Exactly.
Well, that's something to look forward to. Yeah. Good. Cheers for that.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking to the future, the two of you.
Well, now we've given you that positive outlook for the future, Mark.
Yeah.
I have seen you this weekend, of course.
Yes.
We shared a desk
yes.
At Anfield on Saturday for Liverpool's 5-2 victory over West Ham. An interesting game, a bit of a weird game, really, because although they scored 5 goals, weren't massively comfortable, but also never massively in trouble, really. So
yeah, Liverpool were never going to lose that game from the minute they scored first. I think that's the first thing we have to say, and they deserved to win, and they probably deserved to win by 2 goals. But 5-2 makes it look... It's weird, isn't it? If it had been 3-0, you'd have gone, okay, but 5-2 looks more of a hammering than 3-0, but 5-2, probably 5-3 would have been a more first scoreline, I think, because of West Ham, the chances they created. Unusual in the sense that they turned up to play, basically. But I wonder how much of that was down to the fact Liverpool scored so early on to Ekitike. It might have been a slightly different game, but having seen West Ham play quite a lot this season, defending isn't a strong point, but going forward actually is. So maybe they are going to try and play their way out of trouble by relying on their strengths rather than trying to, rely on their weaknesses, which is normally a good way of doing things. Yeah,
feels like
which brings us to Liverpool, and they have a new strength, obviously since Christmas, really, or since the new year. That's set pieces, and the first 3 goals came either directly or indirectly from corners. You could argue the 4th one as well was from about 3 or 4 passages of play after a corner. Although it was that far gone, I think even the statisticians, which is easy for me to say, they don't even count that as a set-piece goal. But since the turn of the year, no one scored more. In fact, no, it might be Arsenal now, mightn't it? But certainly...
Well, they got 2 yesterday, didn't they? So I think it's still...
Is it still Liverpool?
I think they were 3 ahead going into the game.
Yeah. Liverpool have scored more non-penalty set-piece goals than anyone else in the Premier League in 2026, which anybody who watched them for the first half of the season would think, Ian, you're talking nonsense. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for you to say that, but this is one time where you actually can't. And yeah, Liverpool, they weren't great, were they, in terms of the open play? There was a lot. I thought the midfield was a bit of an issue. I thought they were certainly in the first half of the second half, they were a little bit all over the place. And Arne Slot said after the game, he said he could feel the nervousness in the crowd when it was 3-1 and when it was 4-2, really. He says that's because we've managed to give away so many leads, or we've come back into games and lost them very late on, that people are kind of scarred as a result, and so you can't really blame them. But, as you said, it's 3 wins in a row. And I think we're now reaching, in the Premier League, the point of the season where you just need to win. We've seen Villa get beat by Wolves recently. We've seen Arsenal drew Wolves as well. I mean, you wouldn't want to be playing Wolves next, would you? Certainly wouldn't want to play them twice in a week, would you? That'd be bad. You're seeing United kind of just flapping around at games, getting results, but the more that they play under Carrick, the less convincing they get. They were a bit lucky, weren't they, against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Chelsea lost to Arsenal. As I said, Villa, they obviously lost to Wolves. So more and more of these teams, even the likes, Arsenal's win was not fortuitous, but it was hard fought. And City just about got away with a win at Leeds. It's just about winning at this time of the season now. It's not about playing tremendously well. Although if you do play tremendously well, you got more chance of winning the game. But because the game's happening now so thick and fast for Liverpool, that was the first of 7 games in 22 days, which is effectively going to certainly decide whether they're still in the Champions League and the FA Cup. It'll go a long way to deciding just what they've got left to play for in the Premier League, because at the moment you look at the table and you go, they could finish third. Villa have just come straight back into it, because they've had a run of 12 points from 10 games or something like that. So as much as Liverpool were dropping points at the start of the year, the difference between, I know it's again another statement to the obvious, but the difference between drawing, i.e. not losing, and winning a game now is absolutely massive. Every single point counts, and Liverpool have starting to gather the knack of not playing particularly well, such as at Nottingham Forest, such as against West Ham. And one of them was a, not lucky win, but, you could argue it was a draw. But the other one is they managed to not play particularly well, 1-5-2 on the strength of set pieces, which is exactly what Arne Slot said they were missing the first half of the season, where if you're not playing well, at least you can rely on set pieces, because Arsenal are probably going to win the league on doing that.
There used to be an old saying in the COP, we never score from corners, mainly people just trying to cry it in. And then all of a sudden, a bit like buses, you wait for one to come along and all of a sudden they're coming very frequently. Is this a case of Arne Slot saying, well, if you can't beat them, join them? Or is it just coincidence that he got rid of his set-piece coach and now we score loads of corners?
I think it's a little bit of a coincidence. I think those numbers at the start of the season were maybe always going to revert a little bit, and it feels a little bit like it's sort of law of averages, some of this stuff. It is incredible. I mean, it is the thing that is going to define this Premier League season, isn't it? Set pieces and the side that are probably going to win it are so good at them. But the game on Saturday just seemed like it just showed how much of a difference they make, doesn't it? Because I think we said at half-time, didn't we? You look at each other going, how's it 3-0? It didn't feel like a 3-0 at half-time. And what was the difference? It was a couple of good deliveries. It was certainly in the case of the Van Dijk goal, that was your sort of stereotypical sort of set-piece goal. The other one's slightly different, but it just showed you the big kind of change, the big shift. Arne Slot's been talking about it today. The big shift that you've seen in the Premier League this season isn't to his liking, and I think it's a thing that has ultimately, is perhaps what's going to be costing Liverpool at the end of the season in terms of why they didn't challenge anywhere near, defending a title, was they didn't get to grips with this style of play that all of a sudden everyone in the Premier League decided they're going to do overnight, and Liverpool have been very slow to adapt to that. The set piece thing is an issue, obviously. Aaron Briggs, who left, didn't he? It was end of December, I think.
Yes, just before.
Just about when this run started. So, it's a little bit harsh on him, because I don't think he was actually. He kind of got forced into that role.
He didn't join as the set piece coach.
Yeah,
he
so
just kind of assumed it.
It's a little bit, perhaps a bit harsh on him to pin it all on him. And you get the sense that, okay, now he's gone, they might be all working a bit more collaboratively in terms of what they do. Maybe they speak to the players a bit more. I mean, the thing that struck me about the Van Dijk goal is just, you look at the size of Van Dijk and you've seen it. You've seen it with Gabriel all season, haven't you, with Arsenal? And you put the ball in the right spot and he's going to get his head to it and he's probably going to score. And it's not rocket science. And so maybe there's a bit more of a collaborative thing there going on. You don't know, but it feels just like, to me, it feels a little bit like a law of averages thing. And it was obviously a huge issue for much of the season, and maybe it got in their heads a little bit. Defensively still isn't great, is it? They conceded the second one, so the second goal that West Ham scored. It was a little bit all over the place, so there's still work to do on that. But for me, it just went to show how these things have they're not new. Taking a corner isn't new. Putting a corner across into the box isn't new. But it's just this. It seems to have defined everything at the minute. And you watch that Arsenal-Chelsea game, and the goals were just all the same. And most of the goals in the Premier League seem to be the same. And it is just completely dominated. I don't think it'll last. I think there might be a bit of a reversion in the summer, and you might see a change again. But it's been the dominant force, and luckily for Liverpool on Saturday, it was so in a positive sense.
Cody Gakpo and Hugo Ekitike. Cody Gakpo.
Thank you.
And Hugo Ekitike back in the goals. It was only a week earlier that Arne Slot had sort of hinted that
it was literally a day earlier.
Was it that? Was it?
Yeah.
You see, as you get past 40,
they all kind of merge into one.
It's just
I'm taking notes here. I'm just thinking of from here.
Yeah. And you might also mispronounce a footballer's name and be picked up on it by another over 40-year-old man. But they were back in the goals. The manager called for that, and that's good to see, isn't it? They're responding to his subtle hints.
It wasn't subtle, was it?
Was nothing subtle about Arne Slot, really, to be fair.
No, the thing about that is, if you take Gakpo in isolation, he's not scored that many goals this season. It was to go into that game. It was 2 since they played West Ham in November when he scored the second goal right at the end of that one. Was it Marseille and who's the game he scored in? The other game that he scored in. Okay, one of those games. Yeah.
That one.
That one, yeah. But he got his goal, and that came after he'd done a bit of a bad miss, hadn't he? Start second half, which would have made it 4-1. He ended up making it 4-1 anyway. And you could tell from his celebration, it was more relieved than anything else. I think I've said it before that he's coming for some stick online, which has been just disgraceful from people who just haven't got a clue about football or just life, I think, basically. I'm quite happy to take them all on, I don't care. Which brings me back to, going back to what you were talking about in terms of the Premier League. A question for you.
Okay.
And for Mark. And we'll invite our Evertonian producer, Ian. Can you name me a game in the Premier League that you've watched this season where at the end you went, I've quite enjoyed that?
Right, I've got one.
Go on.
Fulham v Man City.
Fulham was 5-4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay, well, there you go.
Well, I watched the second half.
Okay, so you saw that game, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't watch it, obviously, because we were at Anfield, but Brentford at the weekend.
Yeah, but you didn't watch it, did you?
No, but obviously
drama. You didn't see it? And Ian, I'll relay the answer because he's not got his microphone on. Man United Bournemouth 4-4.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, so there's a couple of games there. But in terms of actual quality of the game, because that was like high-scoring games and there was a lot of mistakes, certainly at the United one. And I don't know what happened at the other one, but has there been a game this season where you go, that was good to watch?
Well, if you asked me that question, we had some good examples there, but if you asked me that question...
The better examples than I remember, to be fair.
I've forgotten United, yeah.
The one you've not mentioned is Arsenal getting beat 3-2 by United, which I didn't see, but I assume most people say that's the best game this season. But that we've got it down to one that was just little bit errors and another two that had, for example, with the greatest respect to Burnley and Brentford, they're not exactly the bestest teams in the whole wide world.
Well, if you look at Liverpool games, I would struggle to think of too many that I thought, wow, that was a...
Well, I didn't want to really include Liverpool because obviously you're from a very, from a very biased point of view, or certainly you're kind of leaning into that a bit more. But just generally, I just couldn't think of hardly any games. And I think in the past you always had 2, 3, possibly 4 teams who were playing a certain brand of football that you actually wanted to. I'm not saying there's not teams that are doing it this season. As I just said, West Ham, they gave it a bit of a go, but they don't have anywhere near the quality of teams that were doing it a couple of years ago, which is why they're down the bottom. And, there's nothing against the way Arsenal are playing because they're going to win the league playing it that way. But, I don't think it's a team... I mean, they could easily win the quadruple. In fact, I think they will win the quadruple. There you go. There's a little shout for you.
Well, that is quite an interesting show.
I can't see how... Because after that Champions League draw, I can't see anybody stopping them, to be honest, unless you get to the final.
Are they the best of the long ball hoofers?
Well, I don't even think they're that. They're not long ball hoofers, really. What they are is they're a team that has struggled all season, probably because of injuries as well, because they've had a couple of injuries to Odegaard and Saka and Havertz as well, that they've just hit on a way of playing that no matter how bad we are playing in this game, we know that we can probably keep a clean sheet, and if we get a corner, we're probably going to score, right? And that's basically, it's like a continual get out of jail card.
It sounds like they're massively boring.
Well, this is my point. Now, then people would argue that Manchester City over the years have been boring in a different degree, because they only play one way. And I think ultimately that's the issue. You don't want everybody playing the same way. You want teams to be playing, mixing and matching and doing this, that and the other. And that's why the worry is that if people look at Arsenal and go, right, let's start doing that. Chelsea did it yesterday. Everton did it against Manchester United. Nearly worked for them. But if everybody starts doing it, then it's boring. It's like if everybody started playing the tiki-taka stuff, like Southampton tried it last year, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You mentioned this before. It's like, you're going to get relegated doing this. Your players aren't good enough to do it. Play the game that suits your players, which brings me back to the Arsenal point, is that that's what they're doing. That's why they're going to win the league, but it doesn't mean that you particularly enjoy watching it. But then, at what point did football stop becoming a game or a sport and became a business, and there's nothing enjoyable about business, is there?
I mean, I've got so much to say on that.
I know, we keep saying this, and I keep
you
just
keep
move
putting
on.
me off it. I know, it's almost a separate, well, I'm actually going to write something about it this week.
But nobody playing, when they're 11, 10, 9, 8 years old on the pitch, no one's thinking, hump this long and let's just get it into the box and see what's happening.
It's just, it feels like a percentages thing. It feels like...
Ideally, everyone about from an idealistic point of view.
That's not how you should be.
No one's going onto the streets. Can you still play on the streets these days? I don't know.
They don't play on the streets. Honest to God,
you
can't plug a street in.
Yeah.
Is this your 40s? Isn't it? This is what it is. This is what these conversations.
This is what happens. Put that an energy bill.
The point I'm making is that there is going to be a slight concern if it carries on like this, that people are going to start walking away from watching it because it's just tedious.
Yeah, well, it seems to be. It's a percentages thing, and it seems to be someone somewhere's gone, well, if we play in this way, it's going to give us X percentage more chances of winning a game. And you go up and down the Premier League, what have they all got? They've got big physical players, and they've got lads who can run around. And it's not necessarily long ball, it's fighting and scrapping, isn't it? It's getting in. And, you look at West Ham at the weekend, there's some massive players in that team, and they were pressing, and they were looking dangerous. Well, on the counter attack, weren't they? They're players who were decent. I mean, it's crazy to think they are 18th. They look to me to be. I know it's a cliche, but they look a bit too good to go down. But it seems to me to be like these. Arsenal have been the poster boys for it, haven't they? But this little incremental idea of if we play this way, it ticks this many boxes, it gives us this many chances. If we put this cross in how many times, somebody else will get on the end of it. It feels like that, and this has been the revolution. This has been the change. And then look, you go back a few years, it wasn't like that, was it? You're just trying to think of those good games. I mean, you go back, what was it, sort of 3-4 seasons, and I think it's back to some of those Liverpool City games, that the quality of them, you're not seeing that at the moment. And you can say, look, that those two teams have dropped off, but I think in general, it is just this, the Premier League has become, as you say, it's become about the business, it's become about each position in the table is worth X millions of pounds, isn't it? And it feels like there's a lot of that going on. It feels like there's a lot of, if we play this way, we'll be able to keep it at level at half-time, or we'll be able to be 0-0 with... If every single game there's one goal in it almost, and I'm talking about it after the weekend, which wasn't, but it feels like every single game, it's like goes to 90 minutes, and these days it goes to 98 minutes, doesn't it? And there's one goal in it. It's a scrap. And it feels like the ball will bobble in the box and somebody will get on the end of it. So to me, and it's such a condensed league. One of these goals could get you 4 places up the league, which can get you X amount of millions. So it just feels like it's all been boils down to these numbers. And there's just a lot of big lads running into each other at the end of the day.
The difference is, because obviously go back to us being in our 40s, still just about, is that we've seen all this before. When in the 1980s with Wimbledon, and then other teams started to copy them. The difference is that with Wimbledon and teams like that, they were trying to find a way to close the gap on the teams that were better than them, and it was great in the sense that you had these top teams, Liverpool at the time, Arsenal, Everton, United, whoever, that were competing for honours, and then you had these other teams that didn't probably have the same resources or the same draw, and they found a way of playing to kind of level the playing field a little bit, which in that sense was good because it made things more competitive. The problem we got now is that it's kind of the other way around, in the sense that with Arsenal and some of the other teams who are trying to get into that kind of area, like Chelsea, is that they're going down that road when they shouldn't really have to. They're not closing the gap. They should be like setting a better example, but they've got the players to play a way that is both winning football and attractive football, and it can then influence other teams as well to either for or against playing that way. But now it just seems as though because some teams are playing, basically what they've done, what Arsenal have done is very, very clever. They've realised that this is the way of playing. This is going to work. The rules allow us to do this. Why on earth would you not do it?
Is this why Manchester City aren't top of the league, effectively?
I think with City as well, I think they've not particularly... I think that's not helped, but with City, there's a lot of other things. We don't have to go down the impact of the charges and the fact that Guardiola's been there for nearly 10 years and, things need to get changed every now and again. And the players that they've got now are probably not as good as the players they had 4 or 5 years ago. But that's just normal. That's what happens at any club over a long period of time. But ultimately, all of this is relevant because all that matters is if you're Liverpool, they just need to finish as high up the league as possible. And what they've struck on is remembering how to actually, capitalise and defend set piece. I think the ability, I know West Ham scored one, but Liverpool were at Forest recently. Yeah. They played Newcastle at home where they had a load of corners in the first half. They went to Sunderland and did very well defensively. They've learned how to actually keep them out. And once you've done that, and that's always been the battle, no matter whether you're at the bottom or you're at the top, if you can defend set pieces, then you've got a great chance of winning games. And I think that's probably, regardless of them being more of a threat going forwards at set pieces, that's where I think personally is the real development has been for Liverpool over the past 2 or 3 months, because if you don't concede a goal, you're at least going to get a draw.
Yeah, I mean, and the results are showing that as well, aren't they? I mean, we've jumped because we've got into that sort of whole conversation around set pieces. We've jumped a little bit ahead.
I hope you didn't come across as old man shouts at cloud, because we're not that. We're just trying to...
We do.
Well, you might be. But we're trying to contextualise things and why, you kind of expect better of certain clubs, but you can understand why they're doing it. And you're just slightly worried about the influence that they're having on everybody else, when not dumbing down the product, for want of a better phrase, but teams are capable of more than they are doing at the moment. So Liverpool are one of them.
Well, I think a lot of these, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but smaller teams or teams lower down the table have obviously had results from it because they've been taking points off teams above them. There are teams that have enjoyed good seasons, that are challenging for Europe by playing that way. West Ham weren't really one of them, but that probably made for a more entertaining match overall. I thought Somerville was excellent for West Ham. A live wire throughout, unbelievable pace. But I mean, he's only small. That doesn't really fit with the with the idea of launching balls into a box and big units getting on the end of it. But as we sort of jumped ahead a little bit with Slot on his press conference, he basically admitted at the end of his press conference today that he finds this style of play in the Premier League not entertaining.
So he said not a joy to watch is what he said.
Yeah. And he said he still watches football in the Dutch league, and he's seen players. I mean, make of this what you will, but he did say a goalkeeper, he can get hit in the face in the Premier League and nothing will happen, whereas it's a free kick in the Dutch league. And I don't know. I don't like seeing free kicks given away for soft stuff anyway, but it does. There's been a whole discourse, hasn't there, recently about grappling and stuff like that. And is he right? Is good? And I guess he's complicit to it as well, because his team plays in the Premier League and have slightly altered the tactics to match that.
They've altered the tactics because this is the season that we've seen. I do think he'd maybe Liverpool almost kind of sleepwalked into this a little bit at the start of this season. I don't think they perhaps didn't see this coming in the way. And Slot's got to be careful, I think, because some of these quotes can come across as a little bit sour grapes. Maybe some of the times it's sort of like,
there's more to come on that, I can tell you.
Yeah, you're not allowed to play a certain way, which I don't think he always means it like that. I think he obviously wants to be involved in good games of football, and I think he knows if he is involved in good games of football, he's backing both himself and the players he's got when games open up to win them. And let's be honest, Liverpool paid hundreds of millions of pounds for players to do that. So he should be backing himself and his players in that sense. What they've found in recent weeks is, I think, the ability, as Ian says, to defend better, to mix it a bit more, be a bit more physical with some of these sides. I mean, when it all ends this season, and I do still think they'll come in the top 5. I think it should have enough. When it all finishes, you'll look back at a couple of results, and I think around this period, you might look at Sunderland and you might look at Forest, and going into those difficult games where, let's be honest, I don't think many people were too sort of enamoured with the idea. Wolves is another one coming up on Tuesday. There's a little bit of a wince at the idea of some of the stuff that could go on, but if they can stay compact and if they can stay resolute, things which they weren't doing for the much of the first half of the season, then they can get through them. So I don't know if there's a little message in there, some of the stuff that he's been saying about some of his football. Maybe he'd like a bit more protection sometimes, which is, I think, one thing that managers like to put out there sometimes, isn't it? But from what I've seen anyway, in the last few weeks, it feels like they've been able to mix it a bit more with all this stuff that's going on. And he might not like it, and I'm sure he doesn't. But ultimately, he has to do it because that's the league. And it's all right going on about the Dutch league, but you're playing in the Premier League. You've got to adapt to what's going on. I don't particularly like it. Some of the matches, as we've spoken about, haven't been the best. Not been a classic season, has it really? So, but it's about getting through it now. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I've long since given up on sort of wants Liverpool to play well. I think you just
win,
get through, and get to the point of finishing in a position that isn't kind of completely something that will affect them going forward, i.e. no Champions League. So they've got to grit their teeth. He's got to grit his teeth, and I think they're doing it. It's another week ahead that's going to test that, but I think they're doing it, and they're getting points on the board at a time when the other sides around them, there have been some dropping points. I think it always makes me laugh when you remember these sorts of things. Liverpool have been used to title races in the last few years, and it feels like every single time you drop a point, it was terrible. When you're going for third, fourth, fifth, you do drop points because that's why you're third, fourth, and fifth. So you're able to navigate your way through, and they're doing that. And this little period now, this little set of games, 3 wins in a row, as you say, going away to the team at the bottom of the league. Tottenham to come as well, isn't it? At home, you've got to be beating these struggling teams to come where you want to come.
A lot of fixtures coming up this month. They're coming thick and fast. As we have already mentioned, Arne Slot had his press conference today ahead of the first of 2 games against Wolverhampton Wanderers, both at Molineux. You'll be going to both of them, Ian, I assume.
Yeah.
Will you come back, or will you just book a hotel and stay over for the duration?
Yeah, it's not like it's Spain. You know what I mean? It's like it's not that far. So I'm sure I'll be coming back.
Sure, you'll be coming
anyway.
back.
Yeah, I don't think Reach's budget stretches to several nights. In
3 days in Wolverhampton.
Exactly. Yeah.
3 days. I'll tell you what.
That's a podcast.
That's fantastic. I spent 3 days in Wolverhampton.
And this is what happened.
If you did stay in Wolverhampton, just a little tip. Someone told
I'm
me
not staying, so make this good.
It'll be good, all right. When you're trying to book a hotel and you don't like the price of it, you think, well, that's a bit dear. Someone told me
Doesn't Jurgen Klopp do adverts for this?
He does adverts for non-alcoholic.
That's what he's known in America as that. Why is that Travago man got those teeth? Yeah, honestly, yeah. They don't know who he is.
Fair enough. Well, if you don't like the price of a hotel, don't go with Travago because they're not one of our sponsors.
Okay.
However, if you're on VPN,
and
you change your geographical location, you may find different pricing offering.
See what you're doing.
I could recommend a VPN if you want. I would recommend NordVPN, who just happened to be the sponsor of the Blood Red podcast.
Is this the latest you've remembered it?
No, it was in my notes for this segue.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but you jumped.
All going to plan.
Yeah,
we jumped ahead with some bits about.
So what we've learned is you can't improvise. Is basically what we've learned from this.
Well, I am now. What is NordVPN? Well, some of the benefits of it is watching sport events, TV shows, films which aren't available in your region by switching your virtual location to a country which is showing the event. Or maybe you'll get a better price on a hotel in Wolverhampton or somewhere more exotic. To get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan, and there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And the link is in the podcast episode description box below. Right, what's next? Arne Slot's press conference. Confirmation on Wirtz, which we kind of knew for the weekend anyway, but it was reconfirmed, yeah. He definitely won't be playing on Tuesday, and pretty unlikely for Friday. I think we can almost say certainly not Friday. And then it's a trip to Istanbul after that. So he did say he would expect him to be back next week, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later. So
he doesn't know.
He doesn't know. Nothing to worry about with that back injury, do you think? Or just a case of it just needs rest and hopefully he's all right? Because Liverpool need Florian Wirtz.
Yes, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. And the fact that they don't know either, that is slightly worrying. But as we said before, if you ever hurt your back, it hurts. So it can be a tricky one. In answer to your question, yes, they will miss him because they have missed him in the last couple of games, I think. Certainly at Forest. I know it was a bit last minute, so they had to do a bit of a reshuffle, but there wasn't a lot coming in open play from midfield until Ngamoa come on. And we could argue there's a little bit like that as well on Saturday, which is why all the goals came from set pieces. So, again, it's just yet another thing where Liverpool got a player there who took a while to settle, finally got to grips with it, has been very good, and then just when it comes to an important part of the season, he gets injured with an injury that no one seems to know exactly when he's going to be coming back. So this is kind of the worst run of games he could be missing, really, which is what makes it even more important for Liverpool to tough it out, because that's what it's going to be like at Molineux. I mean, my brain, what's left of it, because it just disappears after you're 40, by the way, is telling me that every single time Liverpool go there, it's a really tough game, but they tend to win. I know you could think of the 3-0 defeat there, 2023, and then there's the game in the FA Cup game, 2019, but I think almost every single time they go there, other than that, they win. Not even any draws, it just seems to be wins. So, in that sense, it shouldn't harbour too many fears, but I don't think anyone's going to look at that league table and go, oh, we're playing the bottom teams, this should be dead easy, because they'll have just watched Wolves' last couple of games and gone, oh, this is going to be a proper tough one. And I mean, Wolves aren't even a team that, plays it long or plays direct. They're just playing decent football. I've said it before, when the second half that they played at Anfield was probably the best and away teams played at Liverpool this season, where they scored the goal and ended up Liverpool winning 2-1. Who scored the winner that day? Wirtz. So there's an example of, in fact, that was his first goal, and that was only 2 and a bit months ago. Yeah. So it shows you just how much he's come on, which is why he's going to be missed. What Liverpool do there, don't know. I think I can't say there'll be many changes. No, we'll come on to picking our teams in a bit, but there isn't really much scope for change, which is a slight concern when they're playing again on Friday. And then they're flying out to Istanbul and playing on Tuesday. Purely because of the numbers that they've got, which is why him not playing is a bit of a blow. But at least the other thing that came out at the press conference is it sounds like Frimpong's probably ready to start a game. I would be surprised if he doesn't start against Wolves on Tuesday. But there isn't really a lot beyond that, is there?
I'll come to you on Frimpong, Mark. He came off the bench on I think it was about 73 minutes.
A bit later, I think. That's only because I wrote about it. Yeah, 77.
77. I'll bow to your expertise.
Well, no, immediately he comes on within 2 minutes. Somerville had fouled him, and he was booked. And then I think it's 3 minutes after that is when that brilliant pass from Gakpo, which is whom we haven't mentioned, Gakpo who had that miss obviously of his own, and then responds with a goal of his own, and then he pretty much made he made the opportunity for Frimpong to create the fifth goal with that great pass. But yeah, Frimpong he just adds this dynamism, doesn't he? And it just all of a sudden is so different. And I mean, right back has been the position, hasn't it, all season that it's been the chopping and changing. But I think whenever he's been there, he looks settled into it, and obviously he can play higher up as well. But in games like that, when he comes on with, let's say, 15 minutes to go, and it was a little bit stretched, and he was just perfect for it. And as I say, all of a sudden he's got Somerville, who's been West Ham's best player, is all of a sudden looking the other way. Oh, I've got to try and stop him, and he's tripped him, and he's in the book, and so yeah, he made a huge difference, I thought, and he's really, it to me is really important he stays fit now. We know that must have been said into this microphone a few times this season, because is it 3, I think, sort of like longish periods of injury. This one's probably the shortest one of them, isn't it? But for him to come back in like that, and his first time back in the squad and straight away was making an impact. So he's important, I think. To if you think back to that performance he put in away at Arsenal, where it was a real backs against the wall sort of game, wasn't it? When obviously Salah was away. Afghan, he plays high up on the right wing, and he was just offering this constant outlet all the time. And you can sometimes question his sort of fireball on that occasion, but I think in that game. Sorry, but I think most of the time he gets to that byline and he's so quick and he just offers something else to the side. And yeah, he made a great impact, and hopefully, once he gets in the team, he can stay there this time.
He's got a bubbly personality.
Yeah.
And you say he offered something. I'll tell you what he offers: entertainment.
Yeah.
This is what we've just been talking about. He is someone who is actually a player that can excite people and get them off the feet. And even if he doesn't come off every time, then he's
willing, isn't he?
bravery to go again.
Yeah.
It reminds me in that sense of Luis Garcia, who often tried to do things that they didn't always come off. But you knew you were going to get some level of entertainment off him. And
You're saying he's got a big Champions League quarter-final, semi-final in him then?
well, if you can score
Juventus
like Luis
won
Garcia
and
did
Chelsea
against
won.
Juventus,
Yeah.
who played a cracking match actually last night against Roma, 3-3. But that's
Is it?
for a different pod. Yeah.
There you go.
What pod would that be?
Entertaining game.
What pod would that be?
What pod would that be? That would be the.
You cannot be serious.
I can't improve on that.
No, yeah.
I cannot improve on that. Gazzetta,
Garnett.
Juve Italia. Gazzetta Italia. Garnett and Italia.
I've just
There you
noticed that in
go.
the FA Trophy, Southport and Marine have been kept apart in the semi-final, so that could be the final.
Wow.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Tasty.
So that's a very local niche reference there.
We'll send you down.
Local derby was a kind
We're not to prison.
Could
To
be-
the goal.
It's the same thing, really. Like, local derby? Isn't it?
Marine and
Southport.
Southport. More. Not enough.
Yeah, it's
Close enough.
Yeah.
And speaking of Level League, I would do just touch that. Lower Breck played Bury the other day, and it was a sellout on Friday. I think it was
Sellout.
a sellout.
How many?
I don't know, but I know a friend of mine was there, and he sent me a picture, and it was like literally
6 people there.
no, it was a few thousand.
Really?
So, yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So the people are.
Have we done a story on this?
I'll have to check with Steve Killen. He is the non-league man.
I feel as though we probably
should
should pick up on this. Yeah.
We'll look into that.
You can't, it's happened.
Moving on. Yeah. Moving on. Slot had, I was going to say bee in the bonnet. That's not quite true, actually. But he
got asked about
he
it.
got asked about the sending off
Yeah.
in Manchester United's game yesterday against Crystal Palace. Maxence
Lacroix.
Lacroix.
I'll just stick to his surname. I didn't even know that was his
I
first
couldn't-
name.
I
That's
didn't
what
say his
it
first
is
name,
today.
to be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly, yeah.
Max.
Lacroix and Cunha.
Yeah.
Max got sent off
Yeah.
for
The
putting
big
his hand
centre-back. Yeah.
for putting his hand on the shoulder of Mateus Cunha in an incident that was remarkably similar to Mark Gay's run-in with Mohamed Salah,
Yes.
in which he didn't get sent off.
And it wasn't a penalty either.
Well,
No.
no, it wasn't outside the box, wasn't it? I think.
Well,
this one-
he fell into the box,
Yeah.
Salah, so it's kind of the same. The foul starts outside the box and then continues into it.
Do you think it is a foul, actually?
I mean, okay, let's put it this way. At the time, I didn't think the Gay one was a red card or a penalty, and I don't think this one's a red card
Same.
or a penalty either.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree
And,
with you.
and the referee on both occasions didn't give a red card or a penalty.
Now,
But VAR got involved on one. The first time they went, nah, and the second time they went, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they communicate. Is it? Nah. Yeah.
Explains a lot.
good process, boys.
So I can see. Well, Arne Slot, he thought the Gay one was a red card, so he said, "I thought it was a red card." So obviously, I thought the Palace one was a red card as well. He says, however, while I was watching it, I was thinking, well, we didn't get a red card given for the City player, so this is clearly not going to be a red card or a penalty. So then I think it goes to VAR, and then it gets given. He's
It
like,
is.
yeah. So he was asked about it. He didn't bring it up himself.
True.
Obviously, it's I think sometimes when it seems as though a manager is talking about a certain thing, it's because somebody's asked him. And Slot is very accommodating to these questions. There are previous managers, in fact, the current manager in the Premier League now, who, if you asked him questions like this, he just would give him such a terrible answer deliberately that it can't get used. And therefore, in future, they never bother to ask him about it. And I think possibly if he wants to get a bit more, avoid this kind of thing, he'd probably give rubbish answers, but it'd be bad for us, wouldn't it? Yeah, exactly. So, so there is that. But yeah, he was quite clearly a little bit miffed, should we say, a bit confused.
Has he got a
He said he was
point?
frustrated. I mean,
It's got a point.
I think he's got a point
Yeah.
because he just wants consistency. But then forget VAR and everything else. We've been saying that forever. It's
Yeah.
like if you're going to get the wrong decisions, just everybody gets it wrong. If you're going to get it right, everybody gets it right. then you can go, well, actually, a couple of weeks ago this happened, and therefore that. That's the worst thing now, is because in the olden days, come on, Richard, in the olden days,
I remember them.
not every game was on television, so there's probably loads of mistakes.
great.
There were loads of mistakes by referees. You just never saw them. But now, since obviously the advent of the Premier League, what's that? It's 33 years now, 34 years. So it's nothing new. This debate about consistency, I think that's his real gripe. And then he also then what he did bring up, he said, we've had this in the past this season with the Van Dijk headed goal against Man City, which was disallowed. And then a couple of weeks later, in fact, their very next Premier League game, Murillo scores the one for Forest, and suddenly what could have been 1-1 and 0-0 at that time turns to 2-3-0 defeats, and he's very nearly getting pushed towards the edge in terms of his job, because you forget just how bad it was around about that time. But long time since that game, he obviously got beat by PSV, and then it's 2 defeats in 21, and both of them were last-minute goals, and one of them was the Man City game where we're talking about a bit of an iffy decision which could have changed the course of the game. So, yeah, you can see why he's frustrated, but he's got a point, but, that's just... He's not saying something that every other manager wouldn't say, but because he's saying it, I think some people think, the danger is sour grapes.
When Liverpool goes to Istanbul next week, do you think Arne Slot needs an eSIM?
I've got a feeling as though he'll be listening in and he'll be going, I hope Rich mentions this now, because I couldn't remember it from last time.
Saley, sponsor of the Blood Red podcast. What is Saley? It is an affordable, easy-to-use and sustainable eSIM service that gives reliable mobile and internet connections from anywhere in the world. Benefits including save money or eliminating roaming fees with affordable eSIM data plans in over 200 destinations, and have a fast and reliable internet connection upon arrival in your destination. And you certainly want one of those in Istanbul, let me tell you. There's a promo code in the description box, I think, producer Ian, is that correct? Yeah, and you can download Saley in the App Store. So I think we should all do that immediately. Okay, let's move on to our
Saley.
We are Saley. Another podcast purely about eSIMs.
Anyway,
I'd watch it. Floats my boat. Sorry. Lineups for Wolves then.
And football. Remember football?
Remember football, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love that sport
Yeah.
before it got ruined by VAR and all that nonsense. Alisson's in goal, isn't he? Alisson's in goal.
You are an old man shouting at
Listen, I until I'm physically removed from this position, I will call for the abolishment of VAR. That's just the way it is. I hate it.
Okay.
Lineups. Alisson in goal.
Yes, you'd hope so. Yeah.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
Who's your back four, Mark?
Joe Gomez played all right, didn't he?
Yeah,
The other day, up against, we've mentioned him, Somerville. I don't think Joe Gomez can play many games in a row. So if you're thinking about playing him in the FA Cup game, which you might be, don't play him in this one. So, and we mentioned Frimpong. So yeah, I'd put Frimpong back in. And I keep the rest of the back four the same.
I concur.
I've got Frimpong back in because he's great, isn't he?
Yeah.
Good to watch. Exciting. And I would like to be excited. It is small.
He's small.
But, I'm in the short people's union. I nearly said something else there.
Yes, I didn't.
Oh, the under 6 foot union is what I'd say.
I think we're all in that.
I'm in that.
Comfortably on.
Well,
we're all Frimpong then, aren't we?
Yeah.
Frimpong.
I think he's like 5'6".
Yeah.
He's
I
small.
told you, didn't I, when he came out against Crystal Palace in the
Community Shield.
Community Shield. Yeah. He walked out next to Canate, and I thought he was the mascot. Honestly. True story.
Are you being sizist?
If anyone's been a victim of sizistism over the years, it's me. So unity is strength. Frimpong's in at right back. Canate, Van Dijk, and Milos Kerkez.
Yes.
Who is now
Very
showing
good.
good levels
Yeah.
of consistency, which is good to see. Completes the back four. Let's move into midfield then with Ian Doyle.
McAllister, Gravenberg, and Szoboszlai at number 10.
Szoboszlai is the 10.
Yes, I know that basically it started like that against West Ham, but him and McAllister tended to move around, and I think there'll be a bit more of that again.
Mark?
Yeah, I do always, whenever I do these things, I do always like to try and float in getting Curtis Jones instead of McAllister. But McAllister's scoring goals, isn't he? He's not having the best of seasons, but he gets in good positions, and also, I mean, the manager loves him and he's going to pick him. So I think he'll play. And yeah, I'd stick with that.
Doesn't look like he loves Curtis Jones, does it?
No,
Put Trey Nair ahead of him.
Yeah, it was interesting. Should have scored as well, shouldn't he? Should have got one at the end.
Yeah.
It is the sort of game. I don't know. It is the sort of game I'd like to see Curtis. Maybe you have to wait. He'll have to wait for the cup game. But yeah, I think he'll stick with McAllister. I think I'll stick with McAllister. I think it's 4 in 7 or 8. I think he's got now, which is very valuable at a time when Mo Salah's not scoring. There's no Isak. You mentioned Gakpo earlier. Ekitike got on a little bit of a run without a goal, hadn't he? So McAllister he reads the game well, doesn't he? I think I have been a critic of him this season, but he reads the game and he can pop up in these areas where you saw it against Forest, where he did it twice. He can be in those spots, so that might be important in a game which is going to be a bit of a slog, isn't it?
Scored in his last 2, hasn't he? So I'm going for the treble. I would go with Grumberg and Szoboszlai as the deeper players with McAllister up front. I'm actually a bit more concerned about McAllister when he's playing deeper. I just sometimes feel he's getting overran.
He's never been the quickest, has he? And he can get the play. It happened a couple of times, didn't it? Players can run past him, and he seems to have lost that little bit where he used to just trip people up, and he used to kind of get away with it a bit more.
He seems to be playing against like 11 Usain Bolts now.
Yeah, that doesn't help him.
It's difficult.
Doesn't help him in this Premier League full of all these physical players. But he's holding his own. So yeah, I keep him in.
Mr. Versatile Szoboszlai can drop back a bit and do yet another position.
Yeah, I mean they can drop and change with that. I don't think you need to say one's there and one's the other one. I think they can roam around.
I'll have it your way then.
Thanks.
You did ask him his question.
No, I did mine. Whatever. Anyway, it's the same players in one of a few combinations. Up front then.
Well, it's going to be Salah, Gakpo and Ekitike. Just going back to Curtis Jones, I think it's quite funny you should say that, because people are complaining, saying, Nyoni and Ngamo aren't getting enough minutes. So when he gives Nyoni some minutes, people say, what's happened to Curtis Jones? It's like, honestly.
You can never win.
This is what you find if you're an association football manager at top level.
Indeed.
Apparently.
I was going to say, build on your experience there. You might get the Marine job.
I did win the Fantasy Football League twice in the mid-2000s, so that's good.
Did you?
No, in our little leagues.
What was your team name?
You know what? I can't remember. Something to do with Andy Townsend's tactics truck it was, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
I used to have a team called Inter Moran after the late, great Ronnie. Anyway, there is another version of that, which is not broadcastable.
Are we all picking Salah, Gakpo, and Ekitike?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes,
yes,
is the answer to that.
Yes. We know the time, though.
We know where they're playing.
Yes.
Yeah. If you need a fantasy football team name, don't come to me. Predictions. I'll start with you, Mark. What do you think for this first of the double header at Molineux?
Yeah. First double header, I will go with a 1-0 win for Liverpool. I think it's not going to be pretty, but I think using the experience of those games against Forest and against Sunderland, they can find a way through and nick it with a 1-goal win.
Will it be from a corner?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
You've scored a fair few against Wolves from corners and penalties, so yeah.
What do you think then?
I think 2-1 to Liverpool. I don't think they'll win both of them because I'm not here on Wednesday for this podcast, the next one. So I don't think they'll win both of them. But in the FA Cup, they could, win as in win normally. I think in the FA Cup, they could win on penalties.
Yeah, I think, I feel it is a tough one. Wolves got a good result against Villa there, didn't they? They've got a little bit of wind between the sails. But, and Arsenal, yeah. But I just think, with his new sort of set piece tactics, I feel like he may have hit on the combination that can get results. So I'm going to go with a surprisingly confident 3-1.
Oof.
Yeah, don't know what's got into me, but there you go. So obviously, game tomorrow, Wolves on Wednesday. You have a weekend off, Ian.
Wolves on Wednesday.
Friday.
Friday, sorry.
Tuesday and Friday.
Tuesday, Friday.
It's not Wolves every day of the week.
It's not 2023 again. Yeah,
That's
it's Wolves. If it wasn't Wolves, it's Brighton.
We're dancing with Wolves this week.
Yeah.
But you've got the weekend off.
No, I haven't. Working on Sunday.
Have you got a gig Saturday? You had a gig on this
Yeah,
Saturday.
we went international. We went to Wales.
Went away over the border.
Connors Key.
Did
Yeah.
Mark give you directions?
Lovely place.
I have been to
You
Wales
didn't need 'em.
before. I've been to
Fine.
Wales before, Rich. You know, I'm quite an
Right.
international traveller these days. I've been to Scotland as well. Can you believe?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pick up any other local dialect? Oh.
Orkney.
Sounds like you didn't. So the gig was good at the weekend. Was that...
Yeah, I don't think people are interested, but yeah, they've invited us back.
Well, I'm just letting them just promoting.
We've got our own
your,
YouTube
other
channel, so we
talents.
can go up against Blood Red. Go We Are Finch with a Y.
Do it.
Yeah.
You don't play any instruments, do you?
I
Mark?
don't know. No, I haven't got anything to plug either. So
Oh, good lad.
Did you used to DJ?
I did.
Yeah, I thought this is going. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention it. Well, yeah, I did. Well, I was more of a promoter, not a very good DJ, but more of a promoter. But we'll keep that for another time.
One day you can tell the listeners your Dario G story.
I'll tell it one
No.
day.
Not today, though.
The one I told you earlier in the office.
Yes.
Yeah, look out for it in the comments. No, don't. That brings us to the end of today's Blood Red show. We are back earlier than usual this week. We'll be back on Wednesday with a reaction show to the Premier League game against Wolves because Liverpool are in action on Friday.
Against
we will
Wolves.
see you
Wolves.
against Wolves. I'll see you for that, Mark.
Yes, I'll be here. Yeah.
Thanks for being with us today. Ian, always a pleasure.
I know. They must think we hate each other.
Tell us what you think in the comments, viewers. Thanks for joining in, and we'll see you again soon.
You've been listening to the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.